this video, we will be taking a look at our next pricing strategy, competitive pricing. As we continue to explore the price element of the 4 Ps involved in the marketing mix, we will explore in more detail the advantages and disadvantages of choosing this type of pricing strategy. To all the teachers out there, show all of these videos without any ads and gain access to our growing library of over 500 teaching worksheets. Why not visit BizzWizard.co.uk to find out more? Competitive pricing is a pricing strategy where a business bases its selling prices on what its competitors are doing. It's widespread when a business has lots of rivals and there's a going rate for a product or service. There may be little or no difference between them, so customers might expect to pay the same wherever they go. Examples of competitive pricing exist in the video streaming market. Think of the competition between Netflix, Disney Plus, and Amazon Prime, or the competition between Coca-Cola and Pepsi over in the soft drinks industry. If Pepsi put their prices up compared to Coke, demand for their product might fall, as some people might choose to buy Coke instead. Rivalry like this forces businesses to be competitive when it comes to pricing. When a new business is planning to offer its goods or services in a competitive market, it's always a good idea to check what prices the competition are charging. However, there may be other ways that a business can set itself apart in a competitive market, such as by offering better customer service or by having better availability. It's really important to know what your competitors are doing when it comes to pricing, but it's not the only thing to think about. Competitive pricing is also very common where there are only a few big companies and customers can easily compare their prices. Often this is done using information available on the internet. That's why websites like Compare the Meerkat and Go Compare are able to charge many businesses a large amount of money to be included in their comparison engines. If businesses are going to competitively price, they need to ensure that customers can see their competitive rates when looking at them compared to their rivals. In this video, we're going to meet the Blue Suede Dude, who has just set up a business as an Elvis impersonator. There are thousands of Elvis impersonators worldwide, including 2 in the Blue Suede Dude's hometown. These competitors are called Elvis Presley and the King of Rock and Roll. The Blue Suede Dude has asked you for some advice on setting up his business and specifically wants help with his pricing. As it is a very competitive marketplace, you advise him to check what prices his local competitors are charging. Elvis Presley's prices start at £250 for half an hour appearance, singing along to a pre-recorded backing track. He provides his own lights and his own equipment. His most expensive offer is for a full hour set with a live backing band, and this costs £2,000. His other competitor, the King of Rock and Roll's prices, are also pretty similar. £275 for half an hour with a pre-recorded backing track, or £1,950 for a 4-hour set with a live backing band. If the Blue Suede Dude is going to provide the same services as his rivals, it would probably make sense for him to charge the same as them, or perhaps even slightly less, as he's less well known as an Elvis impersonator. Pricing his service within a similar price range to these guys would be using the competitive pricing strategy. So what price would we recommend that he charges if he hopes to use the competitive pricing strategy? This does not mean we think he should use this strategy, but if he wanted to, we would probably advise him to charge at least £225 or as much as £300 for a half an hour live set, or around the £2,000 mark for a 4-hour set with a live backing band. If the Blue Suede Dude decided to price any further away from his competitors' prices, at either end of the spectrum, he would likely be considered to be using an entirely different strategy. Although this is a strategy that he could possibly use, he might be missing out on a significant amount of revenue, as we know this is the value of his sales. We will soon begin to analyse the advantages and the disadvantages and look at how they may impact the blue suede dude. But first, let's think about how else he could make himself stand out to his customers other than just offering a lower price. Bring this video and over 100 more to life with fun, interactive games, quizzes and case studies. Why not try the first 25 completely free by visiting BizzWizard.co.uk. He might decide to have a slightly different act to his competitors, or provide something extra, such as offering a custom playlist for each event, offering a virtual Elvis experience over Zoom, or providing a souvenir video of the event. These would all be considered ways of developing a competitive advantage. He might also decide to carry out more marketing activities than his competitors, including digital marketing through social media. The blue suede dude would be really happy if his website came up first when somebody Googles Elvis impersonators in my area, as that would mean that people may book him rather than booking his two competitors. All of these ways of making him stand out or differentiating himself from his competitors will come at a cost. The blue suede dude will need to make sure that he is more than covering these costs, otherwise he might end up losing money. His competitors may not be picking up as much business as they could, because their prices might be seen as too high. Or, on the other side of the coin, they may be undercharging and making less profit than they actually could. He'll also need to see how customers respond to his pricing and his services. They might be happy to pay a little more for the extras that he is planning to offer, or they may simply just not be interested. Whatever the blue suede dude decides to do with his pricing, he'll need to regularly monitor his competitors to see if they're making any changes to their prices in response to having a new competitor in their market. If he continues to use the competitive pricing strategy, he will need to ensure he takes into account any increases or decreases made by his two major competitors. As we've already mentioned, technology can help consumers monitor prices in a competitive market. But technology can also be used by businesses to monitor their rivals' pricing and react to any changes. Amazon is a good example of this. They use sophisticated technology to track their competitors' prices 24/7, and they change their prices to match them accordingly. This is called dynamic pricing, and it means that companies such as Amazon who use this technology can protect their market share by reacting to their competitors' pricing decisions. However, it's important to remember that technology like this is very expensive, and it is likely to only be used by companies who have lots of money to invest. So let's have a think about the advantages and the disadvantages of competitive pricing. The first advantage that we will consider is that competitive pricing might help a business to protect their market share. Let me explain this a little more. Let's say that Coca-Cola has 50% of the soft drinks market in the UK. By aiming to match the prices charged by its competitors, it will hope to stop rivals, like Pepsi, from taking market share from them. If Pepsi lowered the price of a can in the hopes to steal market share from Coca-Cola, and Coke in turn reduced their can price, they will likely stop Pepsi from stealing any customers away. By protecting their market share in this way, it will allow them to continue to dominate the industry and fight off their rivals. Linked to this, our next advantage is that competitive pricing should mean that a business keeps a steady customer base. For example, if Amazon Prime Video matches changes in price made by rivals Netflix, customers may not leave and go to the other provider. This means that Amazon should not lose any customers, as if they did, this would likely result in a decrease in profits and could make competing with rivals more difficult. The next advantage that we will consider is that using this form of pricing strategy may allow a business, like the blue suede dudes, to maintain healthy profit margins. Not only might it help him retain, which means keep, his customers, but will also mean he puts up his prices in line with the industry demand. Take as an example the increase in 2020 of customers buying Pokemon cards once again. In early 2021, boxes of the cards were extremely popular and became hard to get your hands on. Those who did have the boxes in stock put their prices up in line with their competition. And let's face it, in terms of operating a successful business, wouldn't you do the same? If you have something that people really want, is increasingly hard to get, and your competitors have raised prices as they know that their customers will pay these, you should probably do the same in most cases, or you will be missing out on potential profits. The final advantage that we will consider is that this form of pricing is very efficient. If your business stocks many different products, like Amazon or a supermarket, using specialist software to match your prices to the competition on a daily basis can lead to higher revenue and less missed sales opportunities. This efficiency allows big businesses like Amazon to dominate many different industries all at once. Each of the video courses over at BizzWizard.co.uk also includes an interactive business case study that applies the knowledge learned to a real-world scenario. There are over 1,000 multiple-choice questions, each with detailed feedback, which tests students' understanding of the content. Why not visit BizzWizard.co.uk to find out more? However, as always, there are also disadvantages to using competitive pricing that we must consider. The first disadvantage, to give some real thought, is that often using this pricing strategy may mean your costs might increase. For example, if you wish to be listed on the comparison search engines, then there are going to be costs involved. If you hope to use the specialist software to make sure that your prices always match the competition, again, here there will be additional costs. Failure to keep your costs down will mean decreased profit margins, which could impact your business negatively. The next disadvantage of competitive pricing is that obviously it's based on your competitors' prices. You are presuming here that they have set the best price. But what if they've not? Your competitors might not be picking up as much business as they could, because it might be perceived that their price is too high. Or, on the flip side of the coin, your competitors may be undercharging and picking a pricing point much lower than they actually could charge. Simply copying another business will mean that if they have made a huge mistake, or if they simply don't understand your target market, then you are destined to make the same errors as them. The final, and arguably the most important disadvantage, is that in a number of cases, using competitive pricing may mean that you don't make a profit at all. If your pricing is based completely on what your competitors are doing, you might not be able to cover your costs, meaning that you are making a loss. This could easily happen if you are comparing your business to another competitor in very different circumstances to yours. Let me give you an example to make this a little clearer. Let's say that you own a small opticians where local customers might come to get their new glasses. You only have one major competitor in your area, Specsavers. You may not be able to simply charge the same low prices as them. Why, you ask? Well, you just simply don't buy as many pairs of glasses to sell as they do. They are buying glasses for every store in the UK, and they are likely to be buying hundreds, or maybe even thousands of pairs at a time. Therefore, they are likely to have achieved economies of scale, meaning they pay less per pair, as they buy so many, and they have significant buy-in power. Trying to match their prices may mean that your small optician store fails to survive. As I have said in previous videos, a business like the one the blue Suede Dude has just set up will need to look at its costs, competitors, and consumers when setting its prices. When you get asked a question about competitive pricing, or any other pricing strategy for that matter, it's important to think about all the options and what the pros and cons might be in each situation. Remember, there is never a one-size-fits-all rule when it comes to pricing. and in some cases, a clever blend of multiple strategies may be the most successful. This has been the BizzWizard. See you in the next video.